please complete a public comment card and give it to the Planning and Zoning Board staff prior to the board discussion and before public comment section is announced. In no event will anyone be allowed to submit a comment card to speak on any agenda item after the title of the item is read or considered. The total time allotted for each member of the public to comment on the card is 3 minutes. Let's start off with a moment of silence. And let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have a roll call, please?
Board Member Joseph. Present. Board Member Gallen. Board Member Mr. Brown.
Present.
Board Member Mr. Fernandez.
Present.
Board Member Ms. Shepherd. Here. Board Member Ms. Burgess. Present. Vice Chair Guyton. Chairperson Wiley.
Present. Is there any acknowledgement of any board member absentee notification?
Not that I'm aware of, no, sir.
Acknowledgement of any board member vacant positions?
Vacant positions is District 2. Vacant position is District 4, and those are the alternates.
Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, sir. We will be deleting 7G from the agenda for tonight's meeting until our next meeting we have.
Okay, any disclosure by board members? And adoption of the agenda.
So move.
I second.
Has been properly moved in second. Chair, ready for the roll call?
Yes.
Yes. We have Vice Chair Guyton on the dais. So for the approval of the agenda, we have Board Member Shepherd.
Yes.
Board Member Burgess.
Yes.
Board Member Fernandez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Guyton.
Yes.
Chair Wiley.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
All right, on to number 5, approval of minutes.
We didn't have any minutes.
That will be on the next agenda item for next meeting, the minutes.
On to number 6, unfinished business.
None.
None? All right, on to new business.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
as a point of order, can we have our adjunct board members, non-voting board members vote for this meeting?
Absolutely.
Do we have a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved in second. Would you like for me to take it for a vote, Chair?
Yes.
Board Member Shepherd.
Yes.
Board Member Burgess.
Yes.
Board Member Fernandez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Guyton.
Yes.
Chair Wiley.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
All right, on to number 7, new business.
A resolution for the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving a plat application PA-23-0008 from Foundcare Inc. to replat an existing lot of record approximately 2.5245 acres, 109, 964 square feet in land area in order to accommodate future development identified by parcel control number 56 43 42 28 00 001 0160 and parcel control number 56 43 42 28 30 001 0010, providing for an effective date and for other purposes. The presenter tonight will be Juan Suarez as the planner.
Second, board members, I have a little issue with the computer. It'll be 2 seconds. Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year for everyone. I'm here to present a plat application for the Foundcare Clinic. Resolution plat application PA 23008 for the Found Clinic is a replat application of an existing lot of record.
Excuse me, Mr. Watt, can you
Yes, ma'am.
talk into the mic,
I'm
please?
so sorry.
Thank you.
Right here. Better?
Better. Thank you.
So here we can see the location of the project. It's on Broadway. A close-up of the property in front of Broadway and next to West 34th Street. Here's the plat details. It's a replat application to accommodate the new construction for the Foundcare Clinic. Staff analysis, of course, the plat application PA 23008 is in compliance with the Chapter 177 of the Florida statutes and Chapter 30 of the subdivision of the Riviera Beach Code. All disciplines review and approve the replat application. Recommendation for staff. Staff recommends to the Planning and Zoning Board to recommend to the City Council the approval of the plat application. You guys have any questions?
Any questions about the board?
Yes, ma'am.
May we hear from him?
Absolutely.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Christopher Rizari. I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of Foundcare. I just wanted to let everyone know I'm not the architect or the contractor. However, I wanted to, first of all, thank everyone for your support in the project. The project is moving along quite nicely. We're anticipating having it completed by March to April of this year. We're already starting to work on the interior. The roof is on, the structure's up. Within the next 3 weeks, we should have sheetrock up on the property, on the second floor. So it's moving along quite nicely, and the city's been very supportive and helpful. So we're really excited about this project and to bring health services to the city of Riviera Beach that are very needed. And so we anticipate opening the beginning of April of 2025. And the services that will be included in this site will be adult medicine, pediatrics, women's health, including OBGYN services, dentistry, hygiene, a pharmacy. So all those services will be in one area for the folks of Riviera Beach, and they'll be offered to people with and without insurance. So if a person does not have insurance, they'll be offered services on what's called a sliding fee. Now, a sliding fee is based on family size and income. However, if a person cannot pay or does not have the ability to pay, they won't be turned away. They still will receive the services that we offer. We're a federally qualified health center, which is an FQHC, which means that no one gets turned away for inability to pay. I don't know if there are any questions that I may be able to answer.
Any questions about the board? Are there any comment cards on this section?
No, sir, Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I do have a question for staff.
Mr. Guyton?
Yes. How you doing this evening?
Very good, sir.
I'm fairly new. The only question I have is, has a site plan been approved for this project?
Yes, sir. Site plan was the site plan 230024. It was already approved by city council.
Okay, that's all I have.
Chair,
Yes.
like to make a motion to approve plat application PA 23008 from Foundcare Inc. to replat an existing lot of record.
Second.
Would you like to take the vote now, Chair?
Yes.
Ms. Joseph?
Yes.
Board Member Gallen? Board Member Brown?
Yes.
Board Member Fernandez?
Yes.
Board Member Shepherd?
Yes.
Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Chair Guyton? Chair Wiley?
Yes.
Unanimous vote, Chair.
All right, on to 7B.
Thank you.
Your
No,
microphone's not on there.
microphone.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving a plat application PA-24-0004 from Amir Real Estate, Inc. to replat an existing lot of record approximately 0.36 acres -109,964 square feet in land area in order to accommodate future development identified by parcel control numbers 56, 43, 42, 28, 14, 009-0090, providing for an effective date and for other purposes. And the presenter tonight, Chair, would be Juan Suarez, planner.
So this is a plat application PA 24004 from the applicant Amir Real Estate, Inc. Here is the location of the property within the city of Riviera Beach. My bad. Here's a close-up of the property right in front of Blue Heron Boulevard. Here's the plat details. The replat application is to accommodate the new construction of 4 multifamily dwelling units. Project location, the view from Blue Heron. And now the renderings I owe you from the site plan application. The applicant was fortunate to give it to us. Staff analysis, plat application PA 240004 is in compliance with Chapter 177 of the Florida statutes and Chapter 30 of the subdivision of the Riviera Beach Code. Disciplines all reviewed the application and approved it. Recommendation from staff is to the Planning and Zoning Board to recommend to the City Council the approval of plat application PA 24004. The applicant is not here today. Unfortunately, he's out of town.
Do we have any questions from the board? Do we have any comment cards?
No, sir, Chair.
Mr. Chair,
Recognized.
I move to approve this project,
Mr. Chair,
resolution.
you didn't give us a chance to even ask questions.
Oh,
I did.
You said I asked.
she did.
Oh, I'm
ask.
sorry, I didn't hear
He
you.
did
Oh, go ahead,
ask.
Ms. Shepherd.
I didn't. So the applicant is not here and you want us to approve this? You want us to approve this project and he's not here to interject this project?
Yeah, he unfortunately he has, if not mistaken, is a business trip that conflicted with today's date.
He didn't have another representative to come?
I'm not sure, ma'am.
Wow. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just for clarification, we already approved this project, correct?
You approve? Yeah, you did approve site plan SP 230032. Yes, and it's already went to city council and also got approved by city council as well.
And the only thing you owed us was the rendition which you provided tonight. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Chair, I do remember it well. I do remember it well. But I just thought, they would think it not strange to come, and I understand, I truly understand, but I just want to make that clarity that this is really an important project, building these type of projects here. I think that's very important that I would come, but I understand, I do, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes. They would like to,
I would repeat my motion to approve this project, project PA-24-004.
I second.
Chair, are we ready for the vote? Board Member Joseph?
Yes.
Board Member Gallen?
Yes.
Board Member Brown?
Yes.
Board Member Fernandez?
Yes.
Board Member Shepherd?
Yes.
Board Member Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Chair Guyton?
Yes.
Chair Wiley?
yes.
The vote passes unanimous vote, Chair.
On to section 7C.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving site plan application SP 24-0026 by the Riviera Beach Housing Authority to construct a 4 multifamily residential units on the property located at West Blue Heron Boulevard, partial control number 56, 43, 42, 28, 14-009-0090 in the city of Riviera Beach, providing for conditions of approval, providing for an effective date, and for other purposes. The presenter tonight will be Principal Planner Kurt Thompson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and board members, we're trying to load the PowerPoint presentation up.
Uh,
Sorry for the delay, board members. Which you heard Ms. Weathers read the nature of the project to you all. This is the project map showing the red dots, the location of the subject property. And okay, So let me just read briefly to you. Riviera Beach Housing Authority requests a site plan approval to construct four multifamily units consisting of 2 bedroom and 2 bathrooms of approximately 900 square feet per unit. The Housing Authority mission is to provide quality, affordable housing at all levels. The project is funded through the Palm Beach County Housing and Economic Development Department. The Housing Authority was awarded approximately $460,000 in gap financing to develop this property. As a condition of the funding, all units will be set aside for income level at 80% and below of the AMI, the area median income, for a period of 50 years. The Housing Authority has approximately a 500-person waiting list available for units. Okay, you hear me okay, Ms. Shepherd?
If you could pull the mic down just a little bit.
Okay, how's that?
Thank you.
You
Thank
bet, no problem. This is the subject property in the vicinity map. The scope of the amendment is, the lot is approximately 7,840 square feet. It's a vacant parcel located on the south side of West Blue Heron Boulevard. It's approximately 455 feet east of the West Blue Heron Boulevard and the Avenue H East intersection. Further, the site has a land use designation of downtown mixed use and a zoning designation of downtown general. Okay, I read that to you. The existing conditions, as I said, is a vacant lot. You have the PCN parcel control number there. The lot size is 7840 100 square feet. Then downtown general zoning district with a future land use of downtown mixed use. What you have here before you is a rendering of the site plan showing the subject property here. This is West Blue Heron here. You have multifamily uses over here to the east and over here to the west. You also have multifamily uses, okay? And then to the south is residential as well. You have 6 parking spaces. One of them is ADA. The 4 of them is one parking space for dwelling unit. That's for affordable housing units. And then 1 space for visitor parking. So as you can see, there's only 6 total parking spaces on a lot that's basically 75 feet in width and about 106 feet in depth. Okay, so let me try to show you. This floor plan shows you the units are not they're 900 square feet approximately, and they're 2 bedrooms. For this area here, you have here, this is bedroom 1 here, and then you have bedroom 2 here with closet space. Okay, and then this is on the ground floor, and then you have bedroom 1 here, bedroom 2 here, and then it says other kitchen and other facilities with the unit. On the second floor, you have pretty much the same type of layout. Pardon all the color information, but these are construction plans. And so I wanted to be able to show you what it would look like from a construction standpoint. This is the elevation you have here. You have the south elevation here. You have the east elevation here. And then you have the west elevation here, and here you have the north elevation. This north elevation faces West Blue Heron Boulevard, okay? And the south elevation faces residential behind them. And then here you have the east elevation, which also faces residential to the east, and that faces west residential to the west, okay? Can you hear me okay so far?
Sure.
You
Thank
good?
you.
Okay. Ms. Burgess, Mr. Allen, Mr. Brown, you hear me? Okay. I'll always check on Miss Shepherd though. Okay. We have the landscape rendering that you have here. Um, it's pretty straightforward. The buffering is here and along here. The only issue, and this is really not an issue, but because of these plans to have oak trees here, staff made a suggestion of in a condition that they use rather oak trees, some other shade tree like silver buttonwood or buttonwood trees. The reason for that is that the root system here for live oaks tend to grow very shallow, and then they will push up concrete and so forth and create a problem down the road. So that's just one of the conditions that I just want to bring to the board's attention. There are gumbo limbo trees here and gumbo limbo here. Uh, they could use gumbo limbo all the way around, but it was just something that we suggested to the applicant, and I'm sure the applicant can speak for themselves in that regard. Okay. So there's been extensive review by staff, and for this proposed site plan has been found to be consistent with the site plan review standards below. There are 6 of them. Uh, I'm sure you all have seen these 6 now before from the land development regulations and from the application. And it is now ready for the board's consideration and action because all 6 are being met. And so as a result, staff requests that the Planning and Zoning Board recommend approval of the proposed site plan, subject to to the staff report's conditions of approval to the City Council, as indicated in your backup of your staff the staff report and in your backup. And that concludes staff's presentation. It's pretty straightforward application. Board members. We didn't anticipate any issue. The main thing here is that the applicant is trying to provide, affordable housing for folks that, folks like myself I grew up in public housing, so I'm not ashamed to admit that. So this is an attempt to try to address that. I threw out a couple of things. Gap financing. Gap financing is, I'm sure Mr. Guyton understands gap financing. I'm sure you all do too, but I want to explain. It provides like a loan to make up the difference between what a bank lends and what the contractor or the developer brings to the table. So as to make up that difference. And so Palm Beach County is providing that difference to make up that gap. The median household income. I did a check with the 2023 census report, and the area median income here in Riviera Beach is approximately $62,152, and 80% of that is $49,721. So at that level and below is what this housing is trying to prioritize. Okay. The applicant is here to make any presentation. I just ask that you all hold your questions till after they've had a chance to present. They've also, I think Mr. Hurt has indicated they have a presentation. They also have the architect, I believe, on the phone. He's listening in, and I think that will help to round out this presentation. Thank you, board members, for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr.
Mr.
Jackson.
Chair, how are you all?
All right.
I just want to say a happy New Year. It's an honor to be before you all, and it's an honor to serve and provide affordable housing for the citizens of Riviera Beach. As you heard the gentleman say, we will be focusing on those that are less fortunate, and and bringing affordable housing to them and to the city. I want to have Mr. Hurt come up, and he'll be doing the presentation, and of course, we'll answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
So your name, again, for the record, your name?
I'm Jeffrey Jackson. I'm the chair of the Housing Authority.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. I'm John Hurt. I'm the Executive Director of the Riviera Beach Housing Authority. It's a pleasure for me to be here tonight to show you one of our early initiatives in our whole pipeline of trying to bring more affordable housing to the citizens of Riviera Beach. This is a 4-unit affordable housing complex that we're doing in conjunction with the Palm Beach County. They're providing a grant to support this initiative. And we would hope that if this, after the success of this particular initiative, that we can do similar initiatives throughout the city in vacant lots. Um, oh, okay. As you know, the Riviera Beach Housing Authority has been your housing authority agency here since the 70s. In the past decade, we worked very diligently to try to establish a viable housing authority, and we've been successful in building a revitalization and renewal of the former Ivy Green Village site, and we brought back affordable units. In fact, we brought back more units that existed there under the public housing. We are not in the public housing building business. We are in the affordable housing and workforce building business in today's culture. We've been working diligently in the past 3 years trying to build a pipeline of affordable housing here in Riviera Beach, both for rental and for sale. This is the first initiative that we're bringing before you, and our goal is to provide affordable housing for those families that need it most, generally under the 80% AMI, but we will be building both affordable workforce housing and market rate as we move forward. As you can see, this particular rendering, as Mr. Thompson showed you, this is the view from Blue Heron Boulevard. As you would walk down or ride down the boulevard, our board, when we first started to develop Heron Estates, their initiative was to do something creative and more modern and bring a distinct look, for the housing authority to bring to the city of Riviera Beach. You can see that one tree, Jumbo Mumbo, have to forgive me, that we thought that Mr. Thompson's recommendation not to plant oak trees, we were glad he provided that to us, and we will comply with the Jumbo Mumbo trees throughout. Chair Jackson just spoke. Our renderings show Jumbo Mumbo, but if Buttonwood, it would be one or the other, no doubt. As Mr. Thompson said, this is a 4-unit project. Each is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. We did not want to build any obsolete units for families. We will not build a 2-bedroom or 1-bath. All the projects that we will build would have at least 2 baths in it if it's a family project. This is a 2-story walk-up. We will have energy efficient appliances in all of the units. And after permitting, we anticipate a 6-month construction timeline. As Mr. Thompson indicated, these are income restricted units. Most of the units that we would build as a housing authority will all be affordable for at least 50 years. So we are bringing the affordable housing aspect to the city. That's our mission as the housing authority, to provide housing for low and moderate income families. This is a rendering from the south, from behind the building. You can see the stairway going up to the 2nd level. All of the parking is in the back, as a site plan that you've seen. This is a little more general site plan than what Mr. Thompson showed you, but you can see that we do have 6 parking spaces in the back. We wanted to have ample parking and parking for an ADA handicap space. We did, as you can see, we did foliage and on the Blue Heron site. So as you can see, maybe I can show it better on the south. We will have vegetation along that tree in front of that Blue Heron area, as you can see. Other than that, I'm here to try to answer any questions you may have. I tried to facilitate our architect of record to be on the phone. I'm not sure whether that happened. Was Walter able to do that? Does anybody know? Okay, no one knows. So I asked if he could call in to answer any technical questions that you may have, but I'm here to respond to anything you may have a question for.
All right, do we have any questions by the board? Are there any public comment cards on this section?
No, sir, Chair. No public comment cards on this item.
Mr. Chair,
Recognized.
I do have a question. I know you said the parking would be in the back. I was over there to the site again today. How do you get the parking in the back? I mean,
We have a 24-foot driveway. It's one of the conditions of the zoning that we went through. Let me, if I may, can I get back there? That's the one I want.
Let me see.
One of the conditions is that that driveway would be large enough for two-way traffic. It's 24-foot wide, and also it would enable the fire vehicles to be able to access, the site.
I know you say it's on the back, but I went over there and it's nothing but fencing back there. How do you, I mean, you're gonna build that driveway back there? I'm not clear how the driveway is going to go. Because it's nothing but fencing back there right now on that property, I noticed.
Well, I'm not quite sure which fencing you're talking about at the rear of the property.
Yes, the rear of the property. Is that where the,
Well, this site is within that fence. I mean, we have a construction fence out front.
yes,
And in the rear, the parking areas, where's the pointer? Do I have the pointer? Can you just point to the rear? The rear parking, there are the 6 parking spaces, abut that fence, as I understand your question.
I can tell you, one of the things, in looking at this, I think what the city did, in order to get the fire trucks or law enforcement coming back there, you had to have that backdrop.
Mr. Jackson.
I'm sorry.
You're speaking to the mic.
Yeah, so one of the issues, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the issues was if the fire truck had to come, it was there, based on the new rules and codes, we needed to create this parking in the rear, and they would have a turnabout.
so you would create the,
Yes, we're going to be responsible for it, but it's under the new codes, it's a requirement now.
okay.
It's not something that we would prefer doing,
Right.
but it has to be done, and we understand it.
Okay, I understand because you did explain it to me the other day. I don't understand why we don't have the front parking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The entry would still be from Blue Heron. They would just come along backside and park in the rear.
Okay, I get it,
Yeah.
I get it.
Ms. Shepherd, if I may answer, the zoning code in the downtown general, parking is not allowed in the front according to the zoning code. So it would have to be at the rear.
Okay, yes, I understand that, but I noticed, Mr. Thompson, the house, that's been vacant for a while, they have a curved driveway. So how would you do that? Will you cut it out and allow them to go through there or what? How does that work?
Some development has been there grandfathered in longer, and so this being a new project would have to follow the current zoning regulations.
That's a new house.
Hmm?
That's a new house.
This structure here is new,
No, I'm
yes.
not talking about them. I'm talking about the
That's the one on
house
the
that's
corner.
sitting.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes.
I'm sorry, the question is the house with the circle driveway that was recently completed, how is that driveway allowed or parking?
It's a roundabout driveway. So
Right.
how would they get there? Because, the street structure is still there. So
Understood.
are you going to tear that down and allow them to go? Um, how is that going to be done?
They are required to get permit from FDOT for the curve cut on the street, and they have yet to either secure or complete the construction for it. But I know at the time that their city construction permit was approved, they did not have that yet, and that's what held up the completion of the curve cuts to allow you to traverse that driveway.
Okay. Well, I was just curious. I know it was something behind it.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you said, two baths, two, two rooms,
Every
two
two
baths.
baths. Mhm.
Your kitchen, you have a kitchen?
Yes, ma'am.
I you didn't mention kitchen, I don't know where
Yes,
they're
ma'am.
cooking. So their kitchen, their, I'm looking into all this stuff. Their
Yes,
living
ma'am.
room, you just mentioned
Yes,
the,
we have a living area, a kitchen. I don't, in my particular presentation, have the floor plan. Mr. Thompson had that. I don't know. I'm sure it's in your packet, but it has all the amenities of family would need in today's environment.
okay.
Mhm.
I think that's it. I think that's it, Mr. Chair. I think I'm complete.
Does anyone else on the board have questions?
Yeah.
Mr. Gagnon? Oh,
Go ahead.
I'm going to yield to Mr. Brown. I have a question for staff. In your report, your staff report, I don't know if you have it in front of you.
Yes, I do.
Number 2, dealing with the drainage issue, something jumped out at me. That first sentence, I'm curious about, and I'll follow up with a question. It says, according to Mr. Ronald W. Last, PE, the applicant's engineer, that's the operative term, stormwater currently flows and discharges to the adjacent FDOT right-of-way where it is collected by the state drainage improvements with Blue Heron Boulevard. And the last sentence says, the proposed drainage program has been reviewed by the city engineer for compliance with city codes. That first sentence suggested to me that the applicant actually did that review, but I'm not clear if the city went and verified what the applicant said. I read the last sentence where it says complies with the codes, but do you know if the city engineer verified where that runoff is going?
The way is not, I can't, swear by, that the city engineer, utilities engineer has looked at it. But during the building permit process, Mr. Guyton, the permit, they will submit civil plans, civil drainage and paving and grading drainage plans, which would then be reviewed by the city's utility engineer and the city's engineer for compliance. I can tell you that I did see Mr. Lass's drainage report, and one of the things that I remember reading in it were the discharge areas along Blue Heron. As you know, West Blue Heron is a state FDOT road governed by FDOT, and so and the water management district requirements as well. So all of that is part of the city's engineer review process when they submit civil plans, which consists of paving, grading, drainage, processes and plans.
Okay, so I guess my question is, are you suggesting that the city engineer actually confirmed what their engineer said?
No, I'm not suggesting that. No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
What I will say is that with the permitting process, that will be reviewed and will be
Okay.
confirmed prior
Uh,
to a building permit being issued.
Okay, good. The other question is dealing with the volume of runoff that it can accommodate.
The volume of runoff.
The volume of runoff as it relates to um, number of year storms, 50-year storm, 100-year storm. You understand where I'm going?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. Do you know the volume of runoff that it can accommodate?
Usually there is, a series of coefficients that govern the drainage pattern, like a 1 in 10 year flood and process, and the elevation of the ground. As you always know, the construction of drainage systems, the swell, particularly the curb, is set up in such a way to direct the water flow toward the West Blue Heron and then into the adjacent.
Yeah, I'm curious about the volume that the property drainage can accommodate. That's my question.
That's a part of Mr. Lass's review, which having not been an engineer, but having worked around it, will be subject to review at the building permit level.
Okay.
I don't want to.
All righty. I was just
soundtrack,
curious if you knew.
but that's it. I can wrap it up by basically saying that a building permit will not be issued unless those issues like that you bring up, have been addressed. And being a project person on this, I
Okay.
cannot
And
stand off.
normally, depending on the size of the property, the average is like a 100 years.
It's a 100-year
storm.
flood. It should
Yes.
handle a 100-year flood. Yes.
Okay. All righty. One last question. Under the traffic impact, was there a traffic study done?
In this instance, I didn't see a traffic study done, but as you know, for residential uses in this part, there is a traffic exemption under the Palm Beach County Transportation Law Standards. It talks about the phrase eastward ho. I think you remember that, where you try to encourage development eastward and can encourage infill development so as to minimize any flooding and traffic issues. And this being residential use, it falls into that traffic concurrency exemption area, TCEA. This area does.
And the reason I asked that question, in the staff response, it referenced number of trips. It said the number of trips expected to be generated by the 4-unit residential use shall be low, and the project would have an insignificant impact on the surrounding street network. And normally when a traffic study is done, there's a specific number determined, 1.2 trips, 5.3 trips a day. I'm just curious if a study was done because I didn't see where a specific number of trips was referenced.
What I can do in answering your question is work with the applicant during the building review process to make sure we communicate with Palm Beach County Traffic Division, Mr. Quasibari, and necessarily submit to them, have them submit to Palm Beach County Traffic Division the estimated traffic flow for this development.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
I'll just add on that in terms of the presence of a traffic study, there's a threshold that the city engineer uses for number of trips, daily trips or peak hour trips generated by a project. And that is what determines whether a traffic study is required. This one being 4 units, I'm pretty sure that this one didn't meet that threshold. And for that reason, he wouldn't have required that they provide a traffic study for this one.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. And for the record, I do support the project. These are things that, I know are going to be impactful on the community, but I do support the project.
Yeah, and I'm sure, as you know, Ms. Guy, we always engage Palm Beach County Traffic Division during the permitting process.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chair, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Thank you for your presentation. Can you just clarify the access points for the property? Is it from the parking lot? How many access points into the building will there be?
The access point to the buildings in the rear. Both
Okay.
entry doors are in the rear, the stairway going up for the second level,
Okay.
and the doorway right below that. You can see it on the south elevation.
So basically, yeah, got it.
The entrance there off of Blue Heron with a 24-foot driveway leading to the rear. And the entries to both floors are in the rear.
It's a one-way in and one-way out.
Got it.
It's two-way, sir.
I'm sorry, two-way. He's right. 24 feet wide, two-way. Basically, it's enough room for two cars to pass you, so they're in and out.
And then as far as your funding from the county, how long do you guys have to expend those dollars?
Sorry?
The funding that you guys are receiving from the county, how long do you guys have to expend those dollars?
We had 1 year from the beginning of construction.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, Mr. Brown?
Or two-bedroom units. Are we approving an exception or something for the amount of parking spaces, or is that the required amount?
If I understand your question, it is 4 units. It's not just for the presentation. It's built and designed for four two-bedroom, two-bath units.
I'm asking if this is a parking space, 4 spaces or 6 spaces enough for 4 units?
Right.
Well, what he's
Sorry.
saying is the 6 spaces enough? One of the issues is we got to meet the city's green space rule.
Okay.
So that's why we're at 6. And, I mean, if we were just, I think they've already given us a concession.
Yeah,
if I
we're
may,
building
being at 6.
affordable housing, and under affordable housing, we're allowed 1-to-1 parking. And in fact, with the 6 spaces, we exceeded that. It's like 1.25 parking.
Right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, one more question. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and you have 6 spaces. And normally it's a husband and wife, you got another bedroom, the child come home. How are you gonna accommodate the parking? I know you're not figuring it out. I'm not figuring it out. But everybody's coming home for holidays or whatever. 6 spaces, one is handicap accessible. Am I correct?
That's correct. We're meeting the existing code. Given the size of this site, we're trying to maximize the best we can. That's why we had some discussion about 4 parking spaces. We push for to have the 6, to have the extra parking stall beyond the 4. Sometimes you're limited by the conditions that exist. We think we maximize our opportunity here by trying to build, the 4 units on this site. So that's why we have the 6 parking spaces we have. I understand your question, that we can certainly anticipate or project something like that may happen, but, we're in a design and construction phase. We have to go with, what we have.
Well, I try to figure out all this stuff when it comes
Yes,
before
ma'am.
us. I think it's an exciting project, well overdue, because everywhere I go, people stop and ask me about housing, which I'm not really sure how it goes. I mean, I can put it together. But I think this site will open a door for a lot of people that need housing. But I'm still thinking about, a lot of them now are handicapped. So is there any handicap apartments? Will there be
handicap, um, will one of them be handicap accessible, or are you just going with everything looking the same?
Uh, Probably one unit will be handicapped, the word convertible, uh, that can easily be converted to handicap. It won't be built as handicap. I'm lost for the terminology. I think it's handicap ready, okay, that you could easily convert it to a handicap unit if
Yes,
need
I
be.
I understand, I understand. Well, it's well overdue, and you say 6 months you start the
We
process?
anticipate a 6 months construction schedule.
6 months, right around the corner then. Well, Mr. Chair, thank you.
All right. I got a couple of questions also just to follow up on what Mr. Brown and Mrs. Shepherd stated about the parking. For two bed, two bath, again, it seems like the parking will be inadequate for this facility, but I do understand what your purpose is and what you're trying to do. So I do understand that. Is it possible for the back part of the parking that's facing west to put parking there and then possibly take the parking that's facing south and basically slant it the other way to where you be able to get more parking in that area, maybe two or three more parking spaces?
We did look at things like that, but one of the conditions is that they have to have turnaround clearance, and the architect said, given that particular site, to have that radius for the turnaround, we couldn't accommodate any others on the side.
The only concern I had with that also, and that's why I was thinking about that idea, because what's going to happen is like what Ms. Shepherd stated, that when someone comes home or more friends or family come over, they're going to start parking in different areas, and then that turnaround space is not going to be there regardless. So I'd rather build something in place that's going to be there already rather than have it makeshift when it does happen, because eventually it's going to happen.
Well, we'd have to ask for an exception or variance for that because we have to provide a site plan that has the radius.
Absolutely. Okay. Affordable housing, and I know we use that term a lot. And again, I know it's something that's well needed in our community, especially with the prices of rent and mortgages going up. Specifically for the people here, how much will be affordable housing? I know we say market rate, but what would that range be?
Well, it's hard to say now. It's been our target goal to keep rents affordable. The units that we have now, we're currently renting 3-bedroom, 2-bath units at $1,600 per month to make it affordable. That's what we do as the housing authority. Our 2 bedrooms to date have been coming in about $1,200 per month. So I have a better answer once we get on the other side of construction.
Right. All right. And a third question, well, those are about the parking in the back. Now, one thing that I wanted to see, and I know the board kind of likes, we understand what this rendition is. Did you have a picture of a finished product, meaning just a simulation of what it would look like from the north and then from the south to be able to see actually how it's going to be set up? Is it any picture of that?
Did you take mine? To date, we provided some color elevations, or as of today, we only have the elevations that you've seen in my presentation.
Okay.
If you can go back to the north or south elevation, go back, can you? That's yours.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to
Okay.
just notice if you had any, just to be able to see it, because of course we as people like to see finished products and see what it sort of looks like. So I mean, it's fine. What you have here is fine. I mean, I understand it completely. And one thing I can say is that I do definitely agree with the parking being in the back for safety reasons, especially with going onto a major road such as Blue Heron, by putting the parking in the back, and it also gives it more that forgot the terminology I would use for it. But I've always stated that I remember going down to Atlantic Boulevard down in Delray, and to where a lot of the housing is set up the same way to where the balcony basically overlooks the street and everything. And I thought that was kind of a nice look for the community, especially with that being a corridor for Riviera Beach. So I just wanted to thank you, and I definitely do support this project, and thank you for bringing it here. Again, I just wanted to make sure that everything's going to be done right for now and also for the next 10, 15 years.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr.
And
Chair.
Chair, may I ask one more question?
Yes.
Sorry. Did you guys consider a different mix of unit, like 1-1, 2-2 option for this project at all?
Early in design, we had some discussions about that, but in order to maximize the availability of units, we decided to go with 2 twos.
Because that would address the
Yes,
parking.
ma'am.
Mr. Chair, with the mumbo jumbo tree, how many of those are you gonna have?
We're not gonna have those.
Oh, what are you gonna?
We're gonna have the buttonwoods. They're smaller, the root is less invasive. So that's why the city, I pointed that out. And I've experienced that where I live, and Mr. Guyton can tell you over in Thousand Oaks, we've having nothing but trouble with those type trees, destroying the driveways, messing up the plumbing, and we're very disappointed that the city approved those, and because now the board having to deal with those.
Okay, because I heard you talk about that once before. You have to cut them down and shred them or chip them or whatever you all.
And I will tell you one thing before you guys close. I want to thank Mr. Hurt for all that he does. He's known all over the country, and because of him, I got to point this out. He's so shy, but I got to point it out. I'm very happy to be chair of Riviera Beach Housing Authority. I'm also happy of the fact that of all the housing authorities in the last 4 years, we've been the best housing. We've been made the best housing authority. And so we're very happy with that. We've gotten that distinction, and he showed you a picture of it there, but it was kind of blurry. But we got that award in 22 and again, 22 and 24. So we're very happy of that.
Congratulations.
Are there any additional questions?
No. Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve site plan application SP 240026 by the Riviera Beach Housing Authority to construct four multifamily residential units.
Second.
Chair, ready for the vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Board Member Joseph,
Yes.
Board Member Gallen,
Yes.
Board Member Brown,
Yes.
Board Member Fernandez,
Yes.
Board Member Shepherd,
Yes.
Board Member Burgess,
Yes.
Vice Chair Guyton,
Yes.
Chair Wiley.
Yes.
Unanimous vote, the vote passes, Chair.
Chair, I need to, Chair,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I need to be excused. I have another class meeting tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, on to section 7D.
An ordinance of the City Council of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving a request from Safe Harbor Marina requesting an abandonment AB-24-002 of the following right-of-way segment. First, a portion of Avenue C. Second, a portion of East 21st Street in Riviera Beach, Florida. Attachment A, and providing for an effective date and for other purposes. The presenter tonight will be Principal Planner Kurt Thompson.
Mr. Chairman, I would like for Ms. Weathers to also read the other two elements to this, because what you have before you, board members, is an abandonment. You also have a text amendment, and you also have a site plan, and it's all wrapped up into this project, which is the Safe Harbor project. Primarily, the abandonment and the text amendment is all wound into support of the site plan. the plat, that was part of this is not completed, so that's why it needs to be pulled, from the agenda tonight. But the abandonment, the text amendment is in support of the site plan. So if I may be so, bold as to go ahead, one of the things we're trying to do here, since this is all, since the abandonment and the text amendment is in support of the site plan, is to also, I'll read to you the site plan and the text amendment. And then I ask that the presentation is going to wrap everything up into one complete presentation, including all three elements, okay? Uh, This way, you're not holding a hearing on each separate item, because the whole point of this is in support of the site plan, which is really what the first two items, the abandonment and the text amendment, is supporting the site plan. So, so in this instance, I would suggest to the board that instead of holding separate hearings on each one, you hold one hearing for all three items at the same time, but you will vote on each individual item as the agenda is outlined.
Okay, understood.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question to staff. There actually, I don't know if one went before this, but there are two text amendments from the information I've been reading through. One is for landscaping and one is for civic open space. Well,
The civic open space issue was resolved by them. They're going to provide some civic open space on the west side of Broadway, which the applicant will be.
okay, we'll have to get into the.
Okay, I won't
to
get
the
into
root.
the details,
But that
it's-
issue is not one that we're entertaining
that is
tonight.
correct.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
It's been resolved.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just one procedural matter. Before Ms. Weathers reads the other titles into the record. Just in terms of public comment, I just want to make sure that you give everyone an opportunity to submit additional public comment cards, because they may have been thinking they had additional time to submit them based on our rules.
Thank you.
Mr. Thompson, can you just let me know what are we reading into the record? What are the three? I know 7G was post off.
Right.
So what are we reading into the record?
What you're reading into the record, which Ms. Weathers read into the record, the ordinance for the abandonment here that you have before you.
Correct.
Okay? And then the second item you're reading into the record is this item here. It's up here on the screen, Mr. Fernandez, which is an ordinance amending City Code Ordinance Chapter 31, Zoning Article 8, Florida Friendly Landscape Regulations, Section 31-609, Development Landscape Requirements, in order to allow working waterfront projects within the downtown marine zoning district and projects within the port future land use district to request to provide a contribution to pay in lieu of meeting landscape requirements for consideration by city council at time of site plan consideration, with associated regulations for contributing calculation and reserve funds allocation for future landscape expenditures, providing for applicability, conflict, severability, qualification, and providing for an effective date. Basically, what this is doing is that for this project and future ones, if they cannot meet the landscape regulation, Mr. Fernandez, then they would have to pay a fee in lieu to make up for that deficit or difference. And it's also a part of your staff and the staff report.
Right, correct. But you just read 7E into the record. So you read 7D into the record, Ms. Weathers. Now you read 7E. We pushed off 7G. So what are we entertaining tonight, incorporating which ones?
Mr. Chair, if I may
Yes, Mr.
clarify. So Mr. Thompson is communicating that the staff presentation will include all of the three items associated with the project. However, the votes do have to take place separately. It may be cleaner if we just handle one header at a time. So we don't have to read all three of them right now, since they have to be broken up for the vote anyway. So my recommendation would be to proceed with just the reading of the one that's already in the record, the abandonment. The present staff presentation will include all components of the project. And when it's time for the votes on the subsequent items, that we read those headers at that time. If that pleases the chair, that would be the recommendation.
Yeah, Mr. Sermons is correct. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but he's right. In the PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to give you a broad overview for each of the three items to be considered tonight.
Thank you.
And then the applicant will give their presentation, okay? So let's go ahead and get started here. You see here about the resolution for the site plan here. And this is about the plat, but it's not being reviewed tonight, okay? Here is the project map showing the location by the, according to the red dot. Okay, here we go. This is the subject property site. Is the scope of this project is 18.72 acres and is currently occupied by the Safe Harbor Marinas. Is located on the east side of Broadway between East 22nd Street to the north, Moroso Park to the south, and Avenue B and the Intracoastal to the east, okay? Further, the site has a land use designation of downtown mixed use and working waterfront, and zoning designations of downtown core and downtown marine. Okay, here is the request. The Safe Harbor Marinas requests a site plan approval to create an existing campus site plan that includes marine service area, a maintenance office building, and a parking area on plus or minus 18.72 acres of land, but actually the project area is limited to 4.81 acre site. See, when they apply when the plat comes before you, that'll be a lot more clear. And in the presentation, I will show you a diagram that shows that. In fact, what you see here, this is the actual area of the site of the project area right in here. But and this is the area including 18.772 acres, which includes the project area. This is the project area here, 4.81 acres. But the entire site, 18.72, is this entire area that you see in the crosshatch area. Okay? Now, the current property in question is a parking area. You see here there are multiple parcel control numbers, which is on, I believe, page 17 of the staff report. The lot size, as I said, is 18.72 plus or minus, of which 4.81 consists of the project area. Okay. I want to go back. So the whole key is that the project area is here. No work is being proposed in this area here at all. The work that's going to be done is in this area here, okay? Now, the abandonment. This is the first part. The answer Mr. Fernandez's inquiry. This is the abandonment. This is East 22nd Street. And this area here is a part of Avenue C here. So the abandonment area comes just east of the intersection of Broadway and East 21st Street, and it runs the length over to Avenue B here. This is Avenue C, and it will run up to the intersection here of East 22nd Street here, okay? So this is the area for the abandonment, and the project it encompasses this area. The project area of the 4.81 acres encompasses this area here, okay? Now, this is the proposed landscape text amendment, this part 2. And as you can see here, and I'll read it, working waterfront project, this is the wording that they're proposing in addition to what's already in section 31-609. This is the wording they're proposing. Uh, Working waterfront projects within the downtown Marine District and projects within the Port Land Use District may submit a request to provide a contribution in lieu of meeting the required landscaping requirements for consideration by the City Council at the time of site plan consideration. The contribution shall be calculated based on the cost to construct and irrigate those improvements that would be required to meet the minimum standards. Only the minimum reduction of landscaping to allow for operational feasibility may be considered. The city shall reserve funds provided under this requirement for future landscaping and beautification expenditures. Okay. In the staff report that you have here on page 13 of the staff report backup, there is the table, the landscape table showing where they're proposing the pay in lieu which you all should have there. There is a deficit. The code requires a minimum of, on page 11, the code requires a minimum of 20% landscape area, and the applicant is proposing roughly 4%, which would be a deficit of 16%. So when you go to page 13 of the backup of the staff report, you see where they're proposing to pay in lieu of providing that landscape area, okay? And here you are. This is the table I'm speaking of. You will see here, this is what's there. This is what is required, 20%. This is the required square footage. And here is what's being proposed. They're proposing 4%, which would be a deficit of 16% or 126,000, just over 126,000 square feet of deficit landscaping. Okay. This is the table that's in the staff report indicating where they will propose the payment in lieu, which comes to approximately $230,853.01. As you can see here, they've quite a detailed table that they've set out with the amount here, and then there's an explanation here of how they got to that. Okay. Like I said, the applicant can give any more details, and obviously I ask that you hold your questions till after the applicant presents, because hopefully you'll have a full picture. Okay, this is the site plan rendering. And you will notice in red, this is the project area. This is the actual area of the project that's going to happen. You have a liner building here, about 15,100 square foot, three-story liner. You have a first floor, a mezzanine, and a second floor here. There's parking here, which they propose will meet the code for the entire area, but there's just the parking for the project area here. And in this area is where they'll be doing the work. The height of the building is important because the height of the building is going to screen the building. The height of it's called a liner building in the code. It's to screen the activity from the residential areas to the north. They're stopping here at 22nd Street here. They are not, I repeat, they are not going beyond this point. There is downtown residential zoning here, and they're not proposing a rezoning or land use, okay? They're not doing that. They're staying within this area here, okay? And this area, and that's where the abandonment is important, because the abandonment goes from here to here, and I think Avenue C is somewhere in this area here, okay? This is a rendering of the landscaping as you see here. Again, the landscaping, and I saw I had a chance to see their presentation. They will show you some landscaping along on the north side of the liner building, and I believe a fence to screen the building from the residential area to the north to soften that look. And you'll see that in their color rendering that the applicant has that they will be presenting. Now, this is the floor plan rendering, going from left to right. This is the ground floor. You have a carpentry area here. You have a fabrication shop here. You have a mechanical shop area here. You have restrooms in this area here. And then you have an electrical room in this area, a machine shop here, a lobby area over in this area here. Okay. This is the proposed mezzanine, which is, it's basically a second floor in between the first and what will is the second floor here, but it's actually between the first and third floors. This is a mezzanine that's open to the area. And on the second floor, what they call the second floor, there will be cubicles with offices along this area. Okay. This is the rendering elevation. This is the elevation looking north. This is what the residence area will see, but there will be landscaping and trees, etc., along this area, which, as I said, the applicant will show you in a color rendering. The height of the building would be approximately 45, 50 feet within the code. And it's done purposely so as to screen any activity in terms of boat operation, boat repair on the other side, so that it's not exposed or seen by any residence areas to the north. Here in the south, this is the interior building. You will see here that you have areas where boats will, as I showed you earlier, work will be done in this area here, and all of the technical machinery, the workers will go in and out to service both, on the grounds. Okay, this is the replat, but I just want to show you this for information purposes, because I'm gonna wrap this up now. Oops. This is the area here where the actual work and this is the project area, 4.81 acres. This area here is going to be eventually a part of the replat, which will be 18.72 acres replatted into one single parcel, 18.72 acres plus or minus. But the actual project area is here, 4.81 acres here, and this is where the actual work and the project is going to take place. This area is not going to be touched. It's still going to stay as is. The work is here. I also include, as you can see, the staff has determined that the site plan that's being proposed will meet the 6 site plan standards that are outlined in the development review application. And the whole point of this process, besides what the applicant is desiring to do, this project will address some outstanding code violations that have existed on the site. And the intent here is to address those outstanding code violations on this site. And so what the applicant is trying to do is to try to develop a project to to eliminate any and all violations on the site while providing a means for them to continue their operation here. The plat will be coming later. In fact, as we speak, they're working on that, so as to That process, as you all know, it works where the applicant surveyor submits to Ingenuity, the city's third-party reviewer. They will certify, we'll get a letter from Ingenuity, or make sure you get a copy of that, which will ensure that they meet Chapter 177 of the Florida statute and Chapter 30 of the city's code of ordinances, which is the subdivision regulations. Okay, they haven't reached that point yet, but they will be reaching that point, and when they do, that's going to be presented to all of you. And so, having said all of that, the staff requests that the Planning and Zoning Board consider recommending approval of the proposed site plan subject to the staff report's conditions of approval to the Riviera Beach City Council. The applicant is here with their team to make the presentation before you. And as I said before, I ask that you listen before I ask any questions, hear them out, their presentation, and then I'm sure you'll have the complete picture. What we tried to do at Mr. Sermon's direction is to try to give you a broad overview of the project. And I hope I did that by hitting those three areas, Mr. Fernandez, that he asked about.
Mr. Chair, I just got one quick question before we move on.
Good.
What are the proposed conditions? Can you read that into the record, please?
Okay. Just bear with me for a moment. Okay. First, there is in terms of the abandonment, per section 29-66 of the Land Development Code, a privilege fee payment of $861,612.24 must be submitted to the city within 30 days.
A little louder.
A little louder. They can't hear you up there.
First, according to section 29-66 of the Land Development Code, which is this in terms of the abandonment conditions, a privilege fee payment of $861,612.24 must be submitted to the city within 30 days of approval of this ordinance. Failure to make this payment shall result in the nullification of this ordinance and the associated site plan and plat application resolutions when that plat comes about. 2, the developer shall submit a signed and notarized memorandum to be recorded in the public records of the Palm Beach County, Florida, regarding existing potable water and sanitary wastewater utilities located in public rights of way that are being abandoned. That includes the following. States the following for the existing public rights of way that are being abandoned, the authority of the City of Riviera Beach Utility Special District to enter at any time upon the property of the public rights of way being abandoned shall remain to install, operate, maintain, inspect, service, repair, replace, improve the existing potable water and wastewater utilities until these existing utilities shown on the utilities plan to be relocated have been relocated, certified, complete, and cleared for use by the Florida Department of Health. In addition, no vertical, such as security gates, etc., construction, including associated foundation and footers, shall occur in the existing public rights of way that are being abandoned until the existing potable water and wastewater utilities shown on the conceptual utility plan to be relocated have been relocated, certified complete, and cleared for use by the Florida Department of Health. Timing, this document shall be provided prior to the first city council public hearing and recorded within 30 days of approval if the project is approved. Plat conditions. One, any outstanding plat comments must be resolved prior to the
Mr. Chair,
applicant.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Thompson, sorry to interrupt, but since this item is not being heard tonight, we can skip the plat
I'll skip
conditions,
that.
and those will be brought back at the later date with that item.
I'll skip that. Site plan conditions. One, a 2-year landscape performance bond for 110% of the value of the landscaping and irrigation shall be required before a certificate of occupancy or certificate of completion is issued. Two, construction and landscaping improvements must be initiated within 18 months of the effective date of this resolution in accordance with section 31-60B of the City Code of Ordinance. Demolition, site preparation, and/or land clearing shall not be considered construction. Building permit application and associated plans and documents shall be submitted in its entirety and shall not be accepted by city staff in a partial or incomplete manner. Number three, City Council authorizes city staff to approve future amendments to this site plan administratively, so long as the site plan does not deviate greater than 15% from the originally approved site plans. Four, this development must receive final certificate of occupancy from the city for all buildings approved within 5 years of the approval of the adopting resolution, or the adopting resolution shall be considered null and void, requiring the applicant to submit application for site plan and or special exception approval and reinitiate the site plan approval process. Number five, on the site plan, all future advertising must state that the development is located in the city of Riviera Beach. Fees and penalties in accordance with City Code Section 31-554 will be levied against the property owner and or business for violation of this section. Six, once approved, this resolution shall supersede any previous site plan approval resolutions associated with this property, causing previous site plan approval resolutions to be null and void. Seven, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall comply with the standards of all city departments. Furthermore, the applicant shall provide a final set of engineering plans and project documents that are satisfactory to the city engineer. Eight, the site plan approval shall not become effective until a plat for this property is submitted, reviewed by staff, and approved by City Council. This conditional approval shall allow for the issuance of building permits for this project with conditions as required by the building official, the Director of Development Services. A certificate of occupancy shall not be issued until the plat has been approved by City Council and recorded by the county clerk, of course. As Mr. Sermon has said, that plat has not going to be reviewed tonight, but in the future. Number nine, the applicant shall actively advertise employment opportunities for temporary and permanent positions within the city of Riviera Beach, including participation at community job fairs or hosting specialized recruitment events. The developer shall provide a report to the Development Services Department at 6 months post certificate of occupancy, documenting the outreach efforts to acquire local employees, the number of local employees hired, the number of local businesses contracted with, subject to employment and privacy laws, and the percentage of construction costs expended with local vendors. Number 10, a payment of $230,853.01 to satisfy landscaping requirements per section 31-609 of the Land Development Code must be provided prior to issuance of any construction permits associated with this permit. That was that table that you all saw earlier. Number 11, the concurrent abandonment application, AB-24-0002, must be adopted, approved, and become effective prior to this site plan approval becoming effective. Per section 29-66 of the Land Development Code, a privilege fee payment of $861,612.24 must be submitted to the city within 5 days of abandonment ordinance number 4277. That's the number for this abandonment. Failure to make this payment shall result in the nullification of the abandonment ordinance 4277 and the associated site plan, which is SP 24-0020, and the plat, which we'll go into later. Number 12, permits must be obtained for the following items, including but not limited to new buildings, electric, plumbing, mechanical, gas, roofing, pavement, underground utilities, drainage, fences, site walls, landscaping, irrigation, site lighting, site electric, low voltage, and demolition. 13, the reconstruction of East 22nd Street must take place in phase one of this project. The street shall be reconstructed with curb and gutter on both sides of the street and 6-foot sidewalks on both sides of the roadway. 14, no building permit shall be issued until a South Florida Water Management District or Florida Department of Environmental Protection permit for this project is issued. A copy of this permit must be supplied to the building division as part of the permitting package. 15, any and all landscaping installed within public rights of way by this project shall be the perpetual maintenance obligation of the developer or subsequent owners of this property. 16, plans for the public palm tree shelter must be included in the initial construction permit submittal packet. This public amenity must be included in phase one of site development and must receive a certificate of completion issued by the city prior to issuance of any certificate of occupancy. The developer must construct a palm tram approved mass transit shelter with appropriate access, lighting, 2 trash receptacles, and bicycle storage. The approved color for the bus shelter must be consistent with a RAL color chart, number RAL 5005, and the bus shelter design shall be as approved by the city. The location of the shelter shall be within an approved bus stop boarding and a lighting area easement, as dedicated by the plat. Excuse me. Any and all costs associated with the construction and perpetual maintenance, including emptying the trash receptacle, shall be funded by the petitioner and or future property owner. Number 7, for, Number 17, for the existing public rights of way that are being abandoned, the authority of the City of Riviera Beach Utility Special District to enter at any time upon the property of the public rights of way being abandoned shall remain to install, operate, maintain, inspect, service, repair, replace, improve the existing potable water and wastewater utilities until these existing utilities shown on the conceptual utility plan to be relocated have been relocated, certified complete, and cleared for use by the Florida Department of Health. In addition, no vertical construction, including associated foundation and footage, shall occur in the existing public rights of way that are being abandoned until the existing potable water and wastewater utilities shown on the conceptual utility plan to be relocated have been relocated, certified complete, and cleared for use by the Florida Department of Health. And that concludes the conditions.
Quite lengthy.
And with that, I think the applicant is here to make their presentation and give additional comment accordingly. Thank you, board members, for your attention. I appreciate your patience with us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Condition, because I know they went to sleep going through all of this. So they really agreed to this. Yes, no, maybe. Well, they're here, maybe. That was,
The condition that I read, if you recommend to the council approve, and the council approves, they gotta meet these conditions.
17.
Wow, that's a lot of conditions. And they signed.
I'm sorry,
They did sign all these conditions.
they are aware of all the conditions and they can answer your question.
Okay, so who's checking on all these conditions? That's a lot. I mean, who's checking on their
Well,
conditions?
it will ultimately, if I need to give a name and a person, I would say you're looking at them, me. And with Mr. Evans and Mr. Sermon consent. If there's a problem, if they miss a condition, I have to identify it with the building department and talk it over with the building official as well as Mr. Evans and Mr. Sermon. So you have the building official, you'll have myself, and then lastly, the two gentlemen sitting over here to my left.
Okay, I feel safe now.
We're going to put Mr. Evans to work to earn his pay.
Ms. Shepherd, you checking.
Oh, my friends told me to go out and check them, so I don't know, that's a big job. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, may we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, sir. My name is Colby Cooper with Safe Harbor Marinas. I'm joined by my colleague Eric Ruska, also Safe Harbor Marinas. Our project team and other Safe Harbor staff are also joining us with this evening. So good evening, board. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for your time and your consideration of our application. Also, I'd like to thank the city staff and members of the Lakeview Park neighborhood who have also joined us. We value the neighborhood and their partnership in this endeavor as well. This is a fresh start. This project or components of it have been in front of you before in the last 18 months. This is a less intensive project. However, we're still approaching it with the same enthusiasm and an increased investment in the city of Riviera Beach. I'd like to add just a few things on top of what Mr. Thompson shared with you. If the Q button would work for us, please. Does yours work? I'm also happy to press a button if that's easier.
Try the controller.
All right, here we go. I want to make one point about the aerial view. We appreciate the city's consideration to allow the focus of the 4.8 acres of the project area. The remaining site, the 14 plus acres below, as you know, is a fully operating, functioning yard where there will be no development impacts to. It becomes complementary to and the prime driver for this redevelopment, which we will talk about here going forward. Through this process, having submitted many of these applications prior, we decided we were going to take a fresh start. We were going to go back to the drawing board. We were going to listen to what the city was saying as our application in the past advanced, and certainly what the Lakeview Park neighbors were also contributing to the conversation. So what we are proposing is a significantly reduced site plan from prior iterations, focusing on only a 4.8 acre development to address legacy code violations. The context I'd offer on that is that we are Safe Harbor Marinas. We inherited some code violations that we are interested and willing to clean up as a part of this redevelopment. And we certainly appreciate the city staff's cooperation with us to make sure that we can get this development in this part of the neighborhood right. The improvements are the only improvements needed to the existing boatyard operations so that we can absorb the upland operation of our facility in West Palm Beach. And as you heard from Mr. Thompson tonight, this development provides a significant buffer from the Lakeview Park neighborhood while enhancing the functionality and the aesthetics of East 22nd Street. And we'll show you more pictures and context about that here momentarily. There are a couple project dynamics when we talk about less intensive that I'd like to cover here for your working knowledge. The northern boundary is stopping at East 22nd Street, creating a buffer between the boatyard and the Lakeview Park neighborhood. The road abandonment, it will be integrated into the vessel work area, as Mr. Thompson shared, and we'll talk about in a second, to create a contiguous and a safe operating facility and campus east of Broadway. The trade and service building will be a visually appealing, modern building. This building will help reduce noise, provide the buffer that we have spoken about for the neighborhood, and improve the streetscape. Speaking of streetscape, East 22nd Street will be improved, the drainage, curb and gutter, sidewalks on both sides, and an inviting streetscape. Additionally, we are going to be adding 19 public parallel parking spaces on that street. The road abandonment. The points we'd like to share with you tonight, in addition to the staff report, is that the request falls within the current boatyard operations. All of the abutting parcels are owned by Safe Harbor, and this area will be integrated into the vessel work area, again, to restate, for a contiguous and safe operating campus. The privilege fee, if granted the right to abandon these, is $861,000 plus dollars. I'm going to skip the replat based on the technical work that our team is working with the city on, but ultimately it is the combination of 19 contiguous lots into a single parcel property. The text amendment is, I'd like to remind you, if I may, that this exact text amendment previously earned planning and zoning and CRA support in 2023 and was crafted in partnership with CRA staff. What you have before you is exactly the same language. The impervious nature of marinas require us to have significant hardscape to be able to service the marine industry. For context, if we were to comply fully with the landscape code based on our Rybovich site, we would have to, over 3 acres of that property would have to become landscape area. We recognize the importance of landscape, which is why we are committed to having a robust plan, but also ask for your consideration as a working waterfront to allow us to consider this text amendment so that we can continue to function at our best capacity. If approved, the payment will be, as Mr. Thompson stated, $230,000. And a reminder, it doesn't negate landscaping, and I'm going to show you some renderings primarily on the East 22nd Street corridor of how we will buffer and dress up the perimeter of this facility. Obviously, it is subject to your recommendation and City Council approval. The fee will be calculated by code, and as we are advocating for, as previously approved by this body and the CRA, this is for the working waterfront, downtown marine, and port land use districts. So this is the rendering, the color rendering and concept rendering of our trade building and East 22nd Street. This is looking east. You'll see it's got the curb and gutter on both sides, sidewalks on both sides, robust landscaping on both sides. And as Mr. Thompson articulated, this does provide not only a visual buffer, but a noise buffer to the neighborhood. The height of the building is 47.6 feet. It's 2.5-story building technically from an operational standpoint, including a mezzanine. I'll now show you the rendering looking west along East 22nd Street. Our closing comments, in addition to what the city staff has already mentioned, is that there are no zoning or land use classification changes being requested. The only zoning change technically is the text amendment. We did conduct an informational meeting with our Lakeview Park neighbors on September 6th, and we remain committed to working not only with the city staff, but our Lakeview Park neighbors throughout this continued process of consideration and beyond to address specifically issues such as traffic calming, signage, landscaping aesthetics, etc. So your support allows us to take the next step in contributing safe harbors, continuing safe harbors investment in the city of Riviera Beach, which we are very eager to do. That concludes the applicant's presentation, and along with myself and the Safe Harbor and project team, thank you very much. We'd be happy to entertain any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
Yes. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
how many jobs are going to be created for Riviera Beach residents? Or how many jobs will be created in additional? Or are you
Chair.
just moving your West Palm Beach?
Mr. Chair, I think we should have heard from the public first, don't you think, before we?
Well, as soon as you got done, I was going to go to
Oh,
public
okay.
comment.
Okay. I'd like to hear what they have to say.
Right.
Jobs. Are you going to be creating jobs or just moving jobs from your West Palm Beach site?
It will be a combination of both. To quantify the new jobs, we have, obviously there are, and you've read it in the conditions of approval, and we have 6 months post certificate of occupancy to provide the report to the city. We do have the construction, the subcontractors, the general contractor. Our general contractor, Mr. Rocky Ash from Charger Construction's with us here tonight. Mr. Ruska has just been promoted within the company, but previously was the general manager of the facility here at Rybovich. So I'm going to defer to him to allow you to understand the growth that this site will have by bringing our Palm Beach, but also the opportunity in that growth to further expand our workforce capacity here in Riviera Beach. Eric?
Yes, thank you. So we will be bringing a bulk of our folks up from West Palm Beach. So all of our trade folks will be on site. We're also across the street on Broadway. We're
Can
bringing.
you speak into the mic, please, sir?
There you go.
Yes, ma'am. So we will be bringing our folks from West Palm Beach up to Riviera Beach. The bank across the street, the 6-story tower, we're in the process of renovating 11,000 square feet to move our accounting department, purchasing department, the executive folks into that building as well, IT department. And the subcontractors that come on the property daily are north of 300 people plus every day that come from Palm Beach County, Riviera Beach, Broward County on a daily basis, and that changes based on the job focus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, do we have any public comment cards?
Yes, sir, we do. We have 5. Are we ready to take them?
Yes.
First, we have Mr. Mahoney, Mike Mahoney. Following Mr. Mahoney, we will have BJ Sykes.
Before I get started, can you bring that drawing back up on the screen before I even open my mouth so I can show you what I'm referring to? On 22nd Street, that building there. Okay. Mike Mahoney, 2120 Broadway, 2135. I'm right. I think as you're looking at that, I would be to the far end of that on the left. These t-shirts. So I'm involved in this. I have spoken to Safe Harbor several times, and I don't have a problem with that, but I'm questioning, isn't it supposed to have on-street parking there or no? Because I don't see it there. Am I looking at this wrong? You got a pointer there? Right along that? Well, I mean, if my time's running, I ain't got time to go through all this. So,
I think it's a lighting issue. There's a red car there, and
Right.
that would be one of 19
okay, I didn't
spots.
see it.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, no, it's all right. I just wanted to make sure you guys are understanding what you're looking at, because if I don't see it, you don't see it. So anyways, the thing I'm concerned with is back behind that building. That's where I'm at. So, you know, I've had issues with the guy that's there now, Boathouse. Apparently Safe Harbor had bought him out. I imagine all you guys are aware of that, as far as I'm concerned. So their usage in this 4.2 acres behind that building, you know, which encompasses that, everything too. I'm looking at the print here, and it says proposed upland boat storage and repair. And then I'm looking, it doesn't show it on that detail, but you know, it shows overhead shot, and I don't know if you have, I think you have this detail on your site. Do you have that? Do you have that thing up there again? Basically, yeah. Can I use that pointer? I should have brought my own pointer. Right there, trying to hold it still, is my property right there. So, this development or this projected site plan, 4.2 acres in this area. So, I think they're showing on this drawing, I don't have much time to say anything. They're putting a fence here, chain link fence, according to this drawing. So what's gonna be going on here? Right now, Boathouse is running his boats. I've been getting smothered with smoke and fumes for the last 20 years. There hasn't been much done. So I just want to emphasize my concern on keeping this area clean, because we've been fighting with the Boathouse, Department of Health, and the city and everybody else for the last 20 plus years, trying to stay out of the smoke and fumes. So I just want to make sure what's going to be going on right exactly here. Here's that building that we looked at. Parking's going to be out here apparently. So, my easement goes out to 22nd Street right here. So I'm concerned. I like the parking on the street. I know my time's up and tell me to sit down. But can somebody, Eric or somebody, explain what's going to be going on right in here? Because they do, right now, the boat motor running stuff ain't going to work for me again. So.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question real quick. Before, I know we have 4 more questions. Can someone address him immediately on that situation? Just, I know that's not protocol here for us, but just to address him real quick, just so he'll understand.
So the parallel lines that you see represent future slips where we would have a vessel located for maintenance and repair. And we follow the strictest environmental regulations when it comes to the care and maintenance of how those boats are treated in those situations. But those are technically what we would refer to as boat slips, where it is our business that we would have them located as a part of our growth model.
Right. Same thing he was saying with the smoke and everything to where his location is. Would that be something that?
I believe he was referring to another commercial operator. It's not safe harbor.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So now he's saying that he want to make sure that doesn't happen again. So I just want to make sure that that's the case.
Yes, sir. So we don't do outboard work, so we won't be firing outboards up and checking them. There will be a fence, as you mentioned. There'll be a shipping container with a storage container. There'll be a 10-foot space for access to the vessels and then the boat. So it's quite a ways away from the fence line as it is, and it's blocked by containers, fencing. It'll be quite a ways. And there's no outboard, and we don't run the boats on hard just because of the vibration.
For the record, what's your name, sir? I'm sorry. What's your name for the record?
My name is Eric Ruska. I'm the Safe Harbor General Manager.
Yeah, one more thing to say real quick.
No, my question was the outboards. That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Come to the mic, Mr. Mahoney.
Come to the mic.
Sorry. I know I'm out of line.
No,
you're fine.
go get it out.
That's all right. I appreciate it. No, I was just saying sorry, I talk loud enough. I was commenting that I'm glad to see that they're not doing the outboards there, because I've been fighting with you guys, my concerns over since 2000 with running the outboards, and Department of Health has been over there, EPA, everybody and their brother has been over there. So I'm glad to see these guys are cleaning it up, what I can tell. So, for me, that's good for now.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Followed by Mr. Sykes, we will have Mr. Scott Lewis. Followed by Mr. Lewis, we will have Ms. Brandy Davis Osama.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, and friendly, fantastic staff. Thank you. Nice to see you, Scott, again. My name is B.G. Sykes. Last name is S-Y-K-E-S. I own Palm Beach Yachting, which is a brokerage company. I'm also a resident of the end of East 24th Street. I live at 333 East 24th Street and have since the beautiful year of 2002. So I'm living in the home that was the developer's home that developed Lakeview Park. So my home was the first home in the park, and the rest of the little group was developed from there. So I'm at the very end of 24th on the water. I enjoy Riviera Beach. I love boating here in Riviera Beach. I have my boat. I have a 98-foot sailboat, and it has been in Rybovich. And I'm here to voice my very favorable remarks because the office, the way it's run, and how they look after their people and how they look after their property is really to be commended. So as a neighbor and as a patron and as a fellow boat business person, I really recommend the project. It allows fantastic growth in an area that is just very, very hard to find places to do the work that needs to be done on yachts, especially large yachts. It is not easy. I think because of the efforts here, they have given Fort Lauderdale a good run for its money. I like to see Rybovich ahead of Lauderdale Marine Center, even though now they're all safe harbor, but that's the way it's been. It's just great to see that waterfront remaining waterfront, and it's fantastic to have them here in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
333 East 24th.
You're
Yes, ma'am.
near the waterfront?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm on the water. Last house on the south side of East 24th Street.
Okay, I've been down that area. I live
Yep.
on 23rd Street, so I'm
Sure.
right around the corner from you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Evening, my name's Scott Lewis. I just had 6 months ago bought a place at 256 East 22nd Court. I was born and raised in West Palm, been here my whole life, been 5 years in Riviera Beach, currently live just north of the Blue Heron Bridge. Safe Harbor, and when I say Safe Harbor, I include all this property because my house is right there. I am a direct neighbor to Safe Harbor. Now I get it, it's the in and out storage. I went to the September 6th meeting, and what I'm going to talk about is focused on protecting the residences, which Safe Harbor has met with me, and I've talked with them, had good talks with Colby and Mr. Thompson, and I believe they've committed to adding some conditions later before it goes to the CRA board. But one of the things we've talked extensively about is all the traffic on East 22nd Court. All these are single-family residences. All of us are impacted every day, not dozens, hundreds of vehicles coming in and out. And what we're trying to do is we talk with them, and I believe they've agreed that East 22nd, or 22nd, would become the main entrance to the whole facility. So you turn right off of Broadway at the light, and you come in and you can access the entire facility. That's one part, to stop people from coming down the residential street to get to the very successful retail businesses, commercial businesses that have set up and established in that area. And there's 4 or 5 of them. They're very successful. How do I know that? Tractor trailers backing down the road yesterday, delivery trucks, dozens and dozens of people coming down to a dead-end street trying to do a 3-point turn there. So we've come up with a plan, and Mr. Spiritus has been down there, Councilman. The planners have been involved. I believe Safe Harbor has agreed to these different things about trying to figure out a way to get the commercial traffic off the residences back. And I want you to please consider that. I do want you to support the petition today. I'm a businessman. I have a 30,000 square foot warehouse. I've got 40 employees. I understand business, but I also understand residences and where people live. And I want you to help us protect our homes, okay? And I do want to have investment in business in Riviera. You desperately need it. And I'm a believer in that. But there's got to be balance. And right now, I want to see this codified at some point in the future. And the last gentleman that spoke, there was some discussion at that 7-6 meeting about access for those businesses on Broadway, an alley that would fit a fire truck. Mr. Spiritus asked me to put that on the record tonight. He did talk with Safe Harbor, Mr. Pinsky, this afternoon about our issues that I brought up. And it's my understanding that we have a general agreement. Just at the next step, we'd like to see it codified before it goes to council. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Your address one more time?
That's 256 East 22nd. It's right there
Okay.
where my hands shake.
Yeah, you're right around the corner from me. I know where you are.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Brandy Davis Balsamo. I am a resident in Lakeview Park. I'm at 217 East 23rd Street. I'm also the president of the Neighborhood Association. And I just like to say that, yes, this has been a very long road. As if maybe you were part of the original process, you know that I was part of the group that was in strong opposition. The project that's presented now is significantly reduced and is compatible with our neighborhood, which was the one thing that we were objecting to before, was that the project didn't seem compatible. At the current scope, it does seem compatible, and I'm happy to support this project. We have been talking a lot, Safe Harbor and the Neighborhood Association, and very open dialogue and addressing some of the issues. There are continual concerns, as you've heard, about traffic and drainage, and we're working towards solutions for those. And of course, as you've heard, the outstanding issues on 22nd Court, which relate to the retail marina. So again, I just want to say that we're in support of the project, and thank you very much.
Ms. Balsamic, thank you so much for continuing the fight. A lot of people, because I'm there, and I've watched you, and I know it's been a hard road, and I want you to know that, and to the public, I think we all go by the comprehensive plan. And when we start shifting over, like we're shifting over now, it's people like you that put us back on track, and Mr. Spiritus. So I do thank you, and I've been just watching you. I've been attending the meetings you were there, and I keep quiet because I am there. But it's people like you that keeps the wheel turning. And so I'm going to continue to tell you thank you personally. And I want you to make sure you keep on doing the job that you do and that place has been there. My family came from the Bahamas, and it was called Conky Joe's. And so that neighborhood is lost.
Yes.
But I look at you and you're reviving it. And I personally want to say thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Chair, that's it for the public comment cards on this item.
That is it. Okay. Are there any more questions here from the board?
Mr. Chair, real quick, Mr. Thompson, the gentleman that was up here before Ms. Balsamo mentioned there were some conditions that were agreed to Safe Harbor. Were those conditions included in what the 19 or whatever you read out tonight?
No one talked to me about those conditions, sir. The 17.
I can respond on that one,
Go ahead,
Mr. Chair, if I may. No, no, to this point, no. There were two items that have been discussed in the conversations between the applicant and staff that are still in talks, that were not finalized. One was the discussion of traffic calming measures that would assist the neighborhood, including a traffic circle at that intersection that was mentioned at East 22nd Court that could slow down and discourage large vehicles from going down there, and also provide some signage and maybe a historic marker or something of that nature for the neighborhood, which has been discussed and is desired by the neighborhood. The second is related to the addressing of issues at the end of East 22nd Court. There are some drainage issues there, as well as issues with the seawall there. So there are ongoing discussions as to their ability to repair that seawall, which was a previous condition when this first came to you in 2023. So those are two that have not been finalized and are not included on the staff report conditions that were read.
Okay, one question that was mentioned was the traffic. Instead of going down 22nd Court, the point there was East 21st Street. or East 20, or 22nd Street, just one-way traffic into those businesses in the corner there. One, not the 100 or so coming down the residential street. I believe that was discussed with the Safe Harbor, Mr. Cooper, directing traffic or redirecting traffic, not calming devices, but redirecting traffic through another street.
Mr. Chairman, if it
Yes.
pleases. I'll address your question directly, sir. That is something that we cannot effectuate. That is something related to the city. Mr. Scott raises very good points, and we want to come to a resolution on those because we know that it not only improves the public partnership we have with Lakeview Park, but it makes it safer. The variables here that we have to work out with both our neighbor partners and the city staff partners are what are things that we can control and contribute to versus what are city relegated things in the right of way. And so that's what we expect will happen between now and the city council, is that we will address those issues, come to a win-win solution, and be able to in a show of force, present to the city council, the neighborhood, and Safe Harbor, having reached consensus on these very important matters.
Well, I thank you and I welcome your entertaining the community's input. As you can see tonight, by tonight's hearing, most of the community agrees with what you're proposing and the agreement you have reached. So thank you for reaching out to the community.
Thank you. And to your point, ma'am, we appreciate their participation in this process as well. It will make this a better product. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes.
I do want to point out that your recommendation to City Council is just that, your recommendation. So if you wanted to provide a recommendation that additional conditions be included, that would be forwarded to City Council for their consideration. And staff will always continue the conversations that are ongoing, but if you have an opinion that you want considered by City Council, you definitely have the right to insert that into the report that will be drafted to go to them for your recommendation.
Mr. Chair, if that is the case, then I would like to make the recommendation. I know the pointer, Mr. Scott was pointing on East 21st, but he was referencing East 22nd Street. Either choose one of those streets away from the residential areas as your main focal point for all the traffic going into Safe Harbor communities right near Mr. Sorry about that, sir. Mr. Scott's residence. So make it like 21st Street or 22nd Street, away from the residential areas. Direct traffic that way, and then going right into Safe Harbor.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Fernandez, I'm on 23rd. So we do get the bulk of the traffic coming, the big boats. It's just unreal that they allowed the boats to come through there and the trucks to come through there. And I think that you all have to sit down and make some type of reservation of how you're gonna take those heavy trucks off our streets and the boats. It's tearing up the street. So let's come to some type of resolution how we're gonna handle the traffic, Mr. Sherman, on that area. I know Rybovich has to get in, I understand the boats, but like 22nd, 23rd, 22nd Court, we're taking the bulk of the traffic in our neighborhood.
So, Ms. Shepherd, that's why I mentioned 21st or 22nd Street. All traffic onto one of those streets in communication with Safe Harbor. Just pick one of those streets away from the residential area to handle the bulk, if not all, of the traffic for Safe Harbor.
Mr. Cooper, just a question. I think when we had this before, the main dilemma between 21st Street was because the turning radius of carrying the boats around, and that was the reason why we didn't have that the first time, to avoid the residential area, to try to avoid the residential areas, because we couldn't turn that radius with the larger boats.
So I'm going to have Eric talk about our points of ingress and egress and the way the yard operates, because there may be outside actors here that we will control what we can control.
Okay.
Hello, Eric, Safe Harbor. So you can see by the size of the boats, we don't particularly bring boats through the neighborhood. We would be really wrecking some houses. The traffic that we've noticed, and we've been out there with some of the neighbors, there's folks that hit vendors or contractors along Broadway, or they're trying to get around the light at Broadway and Blue Heron, so they'll cut through that neighborhood. Yes, we'll take occasional small boat in, but it comes in by truck through our 20th Street gate. The traffic between grabbing the light, forgive me for the street, but by Publix, the traffic light on Blue Heron there.
Lakeshore Drive.
Lakeshore Drive. They'll cut through to get out onto Broadway, and they'll come through that neighborhood. I've seen it too. So the pickup trucks with trailers, that sort.
Use this and show them with the light where our entry points are.
So as you mentioned, on 22nd Street, that will be the traffic route for folks coming in, and they will be directed into the yard this way. When we have a large delivery or whatever, we do have the gate here on 20th Street that can come into our yard. Truck will turn around and head back out.
So then, Mr. Sermons, it appears that a non-safe harbor, so that's going to have to be addressed by the city. So my recommendation would be, they've stood out there with the residents on all that traffic on 22nd Court or 23rd. Can we just have the city look into who is going down those roadways? And then you're right, use the traffic signs and everything else to avoid the multitude of non-safe harbor individuals going down 22nd Court, the residential areas, and cutting through residential neighborhoods.
And if I may respond on that one, it is a conversation we have been having since this application first was submitted, which may have been as far back as 2022. We've addressed it or discussed it with the city, applicable departments, public works, police. They are public roadways, so we are limited into who we can tell you can and cannot use them if they are lawfully licensed or registered vehicles. And that's what brings us to the conversation of devices that would dissuade those types of or size vehicles from using those roadways. One of the ones that stood out in particular was a traffic circle at the intersection of 22nd Court and I believe that's Avenue B. That intersection there, something decorative and that looks nice, but it also serves as a way to dissuade larger vehicles from utilizing that roadway and also using Avenue B to cut north towards Broadway. The applicant has spoken of their openness to consider that, as well as some placemaking signage to also enhance the neighborhood. So that's been in conversation, and they have been in good faith speaking about what they're willing to do to address some of these issues, even ones that are not exclusively their making. But they do own the majority of the land there, but there are some other property owners there that utilize and traverse these streets for boat-related operations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, let me go back and correct it. I didn't say Rivovich boats. I didn't say that. On that street, 23rd, I think it's called Boatyard, which I think that's the name of it. And they have these humongous boats, residential boats, I assume, that come off of Singer Island. They cut through our neighborhood. They tear up our streets. And until I think the neighborhood get a petition to keep the weight of those boats off our neighborhood. The one thing I'm upset about is that they have like the signage where they gauge your speed in that neighborhood. A couple, Mr. Sherman, I found out they're inoperable. And we need to know, I can't get the streets, but a couple of them are running. I know on 23rd Street, I see one, but the one that's coming from Broadway 23, it does not work. And I think people need to know, because I would say this, right, Rich, they come out of that yard speeding. They do that. They don't stop. And then on the end of 22nd Street, where they do bring the trucks in to unload with that, what's the name of that boat that they go out on? It's a
Charter.
the charter. Now that's where the big trucks are coming from, you all, because I've seen a guy said it he said it in a meeting. They come there, they back up, they almost knock their mailbox off. Something has to give. And so you're going to get blamed for it. Maybe you're doing a great job. I really don't see nothing coming out of that boatyard. I really don't. And I come around that corner 24/7. So I know what's going on. And it's not fair that Lakeview, whatever it is, we don't get the recognition. And we are the oldest community that's been there. And, out of gratitude, they wouldn't even put a sign and say Lakeview Park at the front. Everybody else got a sign but us, and we are the oldest one. And so, unfortunately, you all get the gut of it. I'm sorry, you all getting a bad rap because they're saying it's you coming through, and it's not. But I think as the residents, as Ms. Bassam was saying, she's been an advocate. She's jumped on it. I've kind of taken a step back because I live there and I don't want to get ugly about it. But it's time that if you're coming together, there's no sidewalks over there. We're the only one with my street is the only one sidewalks. That's unfair. And I don't mean to be ranting and raging, but I think you ought to come into the neighborhood and you have extra funds. Somebody take up the cross and say, let me help these people. Let them be safe. We have I know you've been there. Our grass is looking good. Houses looking good. Why aren't we getting the benefit of City of Riviera Beach? And Rival Beach say, I feel sorry for them. Let me step in. Let me just give them a feel, because right now everybody is upset about it. Give us an opportunity to live a life because this neighborhood, we're very quiet. You never hear anything. We take care of each other. Our properties are beautiful. And if nothing else, we need you. I need this program. And I'm sorry, Miss Brandy, she was upset with me, but I know for a fact I need you and you need me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry for the vent.
Chair,
Yes.
my question is for staff. I think we're going to keep having these issues as we keep closing roads. Why do we keep closing these roads off? You're going to keep having traffic going into the other areas as you keep closing these roads off. That's a big problem. You're causing the problem because you're closing the other entrances off.
If I may, and Mr. Sermons can follow up if need be. In this instance, for this proposal, sir, they're proposing to abandon the East 21st Street that's within the bounds of their property, and they're proposing a portion of Avenue C. Those streets, particularly Avenue C, with their proposed project, is going to be a part of the actual project area of the 4.81 acre site.
And I understand that.
And if I may, excuse me.
No, I understand what they want to do. My question is, why do we keep doing it? We just gave them a road, a couple of years ago. You keep closing roads, it's going to cause issues the further down. So you're not going to get rid of this issue of having a traffic problem if you're closing the other roads.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yeah. Yes.
That is correct. This is the same applicant that requested an abandonment, I want to say 5 or so years ago, 2019. The staff, city staff's role in this is to review the request for an abandonment per the regulations. We evaluate whether it's met the application minimal materials, the advertisement requirement, and the evaluation language that is also included in that code. And we've done that, and we've been able to say that they've met that. One thing that stands out particularly about their request is that our laws of the city give preference to marine industries for abandonments, and that those are industries that we want to support as a city, and that abandonments for the support of the marine industry are given a favorable preference by the city when those requests are made. So we've evaluated this request based on what's been submitted in their proposed use. And because of that, staff's recommendation is for approval of this. The Planning and Zoning Board, of course, you have your rights in terms of what recommendation you make to City Council, and ultimately it is their decision as to whether they will give up those right-of-ways or not for this use. But we have followed what's written in our language in the review of it. We understand that it does require or reduce the number of options of roadways of drivers when roads are abandoned. And in this situation, we don't see that it cuts off access to anyone that needs it in the area, but it does require those accessing this yard to use the streets that will be remaining. And I think they've spoken of those entry points, but they may be able to speak more of how traffic is routed around it. But you are correct. This applicant has had previous abandonments. This is a new request, and it is up to council whether they want to grant that or not.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure that the city staff do something about the traffic calming that the residents are having issues now, so you can imagine what they're gonna have later. You all need to make that a priority as far as trying to find some way to calm the traffic that's coming on to East 22nd Court. You're only gonna have 2 streets left there besides 23rd. So the traffic got to go somewhere. I don't have a problem with this project, but I have an issue with we keep closing roads and the residents having issues with traffic. That's what I have a problem with. Thank you, Chair.
Are there any other questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Just one more thing with Mr. Mahoney standing here, who's been here. Well, I've been here a little over 50 years, and I keep hearing the same spiel mill. There's no parking for him. Now they're getting ready to bring in their project and their parking, and they're going to enhance. I think they're going to enhance that area, but with no parking for him, out of just gratitude for him being here, and gratitude for him holding on to the reins, and the gratitude of Lake Park View, because he's an asset in that city. I know you all don't have to do it. I understand you don't have to do it, but he's been begging. I mean, not asking these last few years. He's been begging. He's not getting younger, and if he continues this cycle, it will affect him physically and mentally soon. And I just think it's time we stop this and make sure that neighborhood is safe. I haven't spoke up, and when Brandy came, I took a step back, and maybe I was the bad guy because I was trying to let the city do their job. But since you all are here, I would take a stab at this by saying, let the public know we care about the people that has taken us over. I'm talking about with taxes, paying taxes over there. Just think about it. This is a real issue with me, and it's really getting next to me. I kind of backed down when Brandy and her group came, but she's been continuously a sore thumb for me. The Mahoney's sore thumb for me. I don't want this to get off the table. I think you all are going to do better. I'm with you 100%. I know for a fact the Rivovich is going to grow. I understand you're growing day by day, and you're talking about abandonment. You know what's going to happen sooner or later? They're going to come. They're going, and we're going to all move from over there if we don't stop and do what's right by the people and the residents in that area. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Are there any more questions by the board? All right. Do we have anyone recommending approval?
Yes, but how are we going to, can we go back to how we're going to, Mr. Sermon? How we're going to recommend it? Can we just go step by step,
Right.
each one? Can we have it read, which one, and then we'll motion for that one?
Yes, so right now, the motion on the floor is for the abandonment application, and we'll take the subsequent applications in the order they are in the agenda. If I'm not mistaken, the text amendment is next. Then you would have the site plan. When the person makes a motion for the site plan, my recommendation would be that person state what, if any, additional conditions you would like reflected in the project or reflected in your recommendation to City Council.
Okay, so right now, under the, a motion for the abandonment, is that the first one? So then I want to place a motion before the board to accept the abandonment, project as outlined by Mr. Thompson and, Safe Harbor River Beach.
I second.
It has been properly moved in second. Chair, are we ready for the vote?
Yes.
Member Brown?
If I may interject real quick, you have two conditions of approval tied to the abandonment.
Correct, and they were read into the record, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
The lengthy conditions, so yes, absolutely, and they have been agreed to.
17. Go ahead with the votes.
So then the motion is going to be accept the abandonment with the conditions that were read into the record by Mr. Thompson.
I second. Now we're ready for the vote, please.
Are we ready for the vote?
Yes.
Board Member Brown?
Mr. Brown, can you speak up?
Mr. Guy, I'm sorry, Board Member Gallen?
No.
Board Member Shepherd?
Yes.
Board Member Joseph?
Yes.
Vice Chair Guyton?
Yes.
Chair Fernandez, Board Member Fernandez?
Yes.
Chair Wiley?
Yes.
The vote passes with, Board Member Gallen dissenting.
Now, Mr. Chair, the next one is going to be
This will be for,
the text.
It will be the text amendment.
yes. Will someone want to approve? Recommend approval?
Needs to read into
It's
the
going to be
record.
read by Umbrella, and then we can make a motion.
Okay.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending City Code Ordinance, Chapter 31, zoning, Article 8, Florida-friendly landscape regulations, Section 31609, development landscaping requirements in order to allow working waterfront projects within the downtown marina zoning district and projects within the Port Future Land Use District to request to provide a contribution to pay in lieu of meeting landscaping requirements for the consideration by the city council at the time of site plan consideration with associated regulation for the contribution of calculation and the reserve funds allocations for the future land use expenditures, providing for applicability, conflict, servability, and codification, and providing for an effective date.
So move.
Second.
Are we ready for the vote, Chair?
Yes.
Board Member Brown?
Yes.
Board Member Gallen? Yes. Board Member Fernandez?
Yes.
Board Member Shepherd?
Yes.
Board Member Joseph?
Yes.
Vice Chair Guyton?
Yes.
Chair Wiley? Unanimous vote. That vote passes, Chair.
For 7F, site plan.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving a site plan SP 24-0020, requesting from Safe Harbor Marina to combine into an existing Safe Harbor River Beach campus site plan, including a marine service area, a maintenance office building, a parking area, approximately plus minus 18.72 acres of land, inclusive of a plus minus 4.8 acres project limited area, generally located East 22nd Street on the north, between Broadway on the west and Avenue B as in boy on the east, southward to the north property line of Masco Park, and providing for an effective date and for other purposes, Chair.
So move.
Second.
With the conditions, correct, Mr. Thompson?
With the conditions
Yes.
outlined by staff.
Yes.
Thank you.
Are we ready for the vote, Chair?
Yes.
Board Member Brown?
Yes.
Board Member Gallen?
Yes.
Board Member Fernandez?
Yes.
Board Member Joseph,
Yes.
Board Member Shepherd,
Yes.
Vice Chair Guyton,
Yes.
Chair Wiley.
Yes.
Unanimous vote, Chair.
Thank you, board members.
That was the last one. Okay, on to workshop items.
None from staff, Mr. Chair.
All right, do we have any public comments?
We had one, we had Mr. Mahoney. You're good, Mr. Mahoney? Okay. Yes.
Sorry, Mike Mahoney again. Kind of just reiterate the parking thing, but I just want to get something on the record, you know. I sent a concern to the code enforcement department on October 3rd, 2024. And it was in regards to the parking on 22nd Street. You know, and it alluded to the years and years and years and this and that. So I get a response back from a Mr. Naru Belgobin, I think. I think it must be from code enforcement. But anyway, so he cites this code compliance citation violation ECC-24-00237. And I called him up to explain that, and it was vague, you know. But my point being is, after 20 years of complaining about parking on 22nd Street and the stuff that's been going on there over these years, the city has the audacity, basically, to blame Safe Harbor, because in this violation, they don't cite anybody name particularly, Boathouse or Safe Harbor, but Safe Harbor owns this property now. And now the city decides to throw a citation, whatever that means, out there. Why wasn't this issued 10, 15 years ago? Why? This has been my whole argument with the city. Why does it take a new developer like Safe Harbor to come in and cleaning this place up, and then they blame it on them because they're saying that nothing on the street is going to happen as far as parking and cleaning it up or anything until the site plan is approved. And it could take 6 months or a year or longer. And I got it right here, black and white. So, you know, I ain't gonna let this go. Why are they doing this? Why you can read it. I mean, code enforcement, whatever I got, you got. You need to look at it. I just don't understand it. You know, why it took me 20 years to go on and on and on and on and on. Nobody takes any responsibility for nothing. Police don't come up and down the street. You know, I mean, you all know what Margaret Shepherd specifically knows. I've been here 20, 30 years. I've been coming to these meetings for 20 something years. And I mean, now I got it in writing that the city's admitting apparently that there's violations here. I listed the violations, and to me, this is saying they agree with it, but they're putting it on the plan that it's not approved yet, so they can't look at these things. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. I think the city legal department needs to look at this, because I've been through this already with you guys. And I mean, this is proof. I got it in writing from the city. So, you know, I know you're cleaning it up eventually, but one more quick thing, if you don't mind. And Eric might be on board for it, I don't know. But one of my complaints is on this street where they're proposing this parking. They've got tow-away signs on there, and it's got my name on there. D's T-shirts, tow-away customers immediately. So you go back to this no parking stuff. This is what you guys have been hammering me with, and you've been letting it go on for 20 years. Go down the street. You'll see the signs. D's T-shirts customers will be towed immediately. I don't think that's legal. But you guys don't have a problem with it. I think some of you might, but you need to go down the street and look at that. And I think Safe Harbor wouldn't have any qualms about pulling those signs off. But I don't know where they're at between the boathouse and Safe Harbor legally, who owns what, who has the right to do what. But I'm sure Safe Harbor owns it, because we're in a good relationship with them, I don't think they would have a problem removing it because it's not doing them no good. I'm not hurting them. So if some of you guys can look at that, that'd be great.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sermon, is that something that is what he just stated? Is that something that we would have information about, or that will be a code enforcement situation?
If I understand correctly, it's related to an existing code enforcement violation that we can certainly review and see the progress on it. And from there, I can reach out to Mr. Mahoney to address any of your lingering concerns.
Surely would appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just one more quick question. As you heard tonight, Safe Harbor Ribovich, that area is going to be open for 19 public parking spaces. So they shouldn't have any no parking tow-away deeds because you can't have public parking and then put a sign up that says tow-away. So can you address that? I mean, just your department?
And those parking spaces are designed to be in the right of way. So being that those would be in the right of way and not on private property, as the majority of the spaces that were referenced by the citizen, no, it would not be appropriate to put signs there restricting parking in the public right of way.
Thank you. So there'll be no signs restricting parking, correct?
None.
Except for parking in the middle of the road. I'm talking about 19 public parking spaces for 19 public individuals.
Yes, that is the intent of that roadway reconstruction design, yes.
Thank you.
Is there any possible way that I can say one more thing? I know it's out of order, but if you don't mind, the area that Boathouse has been using for parking for the last 20 years is 3/4 of the way into right of way. So, I mean, I can argue with him all day long with it, but the proof is in the survey lines, property lines. I presented that to you guys too. It's just like you ignore it. You say, oh, 1/3 of the property is on right of way. That's not true. You can go over there and look, see where the property line is. And the way they park right now, they've been utilizing the city right of way for the last 20 years, and you guys haven't done nothing about it. So now you're doing something about it, but 20 years later, and I'm losing business for 20 years because nobody can park there. You know it. Margaret Shepard, everybody that comes over, police chief, everybody's been in there. Where's your parking? So, I just want to clarify that. That's the way it's been going.
Thank you, sir. All right, we're going to work on that definitely. And like I said, Mr. Sherman is going to, like I said, he's going to speak to you about it. And hopefully we can come to a logical conclusion. Now, do we have any general discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Before we close, I do want to say happy birthday to Miss Weatherly. She had her 50th birthday. And I want to say to Mrs. Sherman and staff and to Simone and all of them, she's so gracious when she run in and bring my book early in the morning. And unfortunately, I am computer savvy. So she doesn't know, but I rain, snow, sleet, or shine. And Simone used to do it. I think she's passed the gavel. But I do, you see this big book that she has to haul around for me. And I want to make sure I gave her a little something that when she go home, she could put her feet back and do what I do with a little crack ice, and I just go at it. So from me to you, I just want you to have a relaxing day and just say happy birthday to me because
Thank
you
you so
truly
much.
deserve it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We are happy to serve Ms. Shepard, and we'll continue to make sure you get the packet in whatever form you need.
Thank you. I appreciate the staff.
I was trying to find something really quick. I don't have, oh, here it is right here. Okay, just one thing for myself that we're doing now at the start of the new year, and I spoke to you guys about this before, about the educational programs that we have for the ACT program. We have a new location. If I'm correct here, I can read this address. It's at 4401 Beacon Circle in West Palm Beach, where we invite all the students from Palm Beach Gardens, Riviera Beach, West Palm Beach, Lake Park, wherever, who want to come in and do the ACT program or the SAT program to be able to elevate their education level, to be able to go to, I guess, to achieve higher scores. So we have Mrs. Marcia Kelly, who actually runs the program with Alpha Star. It's something they're providing every, for the next 5 Saturdays. It's for kids grade 10 through 12. It's a free program, so you're allowed to have any of your children. If you want to bring them there on a Saturday morning from 8:30, where we provide breakfast, and when they leave, we actually provide lunch for them. They'll have, if I'm correct, they'll have Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, Chick-fil-A. They have Chick-fil-A this week, and we'll be doing it for the next 5 or 6 weeks. And like I said, it's a great ACT program. We have a lot of students who want to go to college. Scores are low, and they're coming in learning different methods and strategies to be able to get their scores up to where they can get into D1 college. And we have a very, very high success rate. I do the math portion of it. Mrs. Marcel Kelly does the reading portion. And like I said, it's something that's provided free for the community. It's free for all communities, for any schools. Like I say, any kids from 10 to 12, we do make exceptions. So if it's a ninth grader or eighth grader who wants to get ahead of the game, please bring them in. Like I say, it's free of charge, no charge to the community, no charge to the city. All right, so if you have any other questions, please get in contact with me, or you can look at it on my Facebook page at William Wiley. Thank you.
I think I'll come for the Chick-fil-A session.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes.
One item for staff updates. I wanted to formally introduce the new Assistant Director of Development Services, Mr. Scott Evans. We are excited to welcome him back to the Development Services Department, which is where he started his career in Riviera Beach and served for almost 10 years before going to the CRA. He has come back home, and we're happy to welcome him here, and you will be hearing him at the mic during these meetings much more in the future. So welcome, Mr. Evans.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Or do we have any other correspondence? Well, upcoming planning and zoning board meeting will be.
That date is wrong.
This date is definitely wrong.
That's the 24th.
Hey, come on, Mike. All right. Sorry about that. Typo, the next planning and zoning board meeting is scheduled for January 23rd.
Thank you, sir.
All right, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Motion. Second.
Thank you, everyone.